All right. So now we go ahead and have our rosters pulled up. We're just going to scroll through position by position, one player at a time. That way that you guys can see their badges and everything in the bottom right corner. I don't know what the cursor up there in the top left is. Usually that's not there, but I broke something this time clearly. So that's whatever. We'll pretend it doesn't exist. Um, and without further ado, I guess we just go player by player. We'll stop on players that are notable, but otherwise not pay much attention. The over/under win totals are out for these. Well, no in knows where. We have a hard freeze warning for next week. Not a whole lot going on with Air Force. There's a good linebacker, but this team has been pretty much CFCL player free. Not not a very good team indeed. Again, same thing. I mean, we start off with some pretty weak rosters. Whatever Akron's over under is, hit the under. This team stinks. Alabama with Jason Riddle. There he is. Look at the man, Jason Riddle. He's going to be a very strong player indeed. Taylor Chief is the FCL player there. Hans Crockett. What about App State? What do we look at? Not a perfect quarterback situation. No fullbacks. I mean, the team's not too bad. So far, my implication is bowl eligible. I know, and everybody's just waiting for their team to come up. I can't believe we have to go back to this video format. It takes a long time. But typing them all in manually actually takes longer, which is impressive. Arizona lost Chad Edwards to UNLV. This season being 5-8. Yeah, not good. But their roster is decent. It's been getting a little bit better. App State's kind of been on the rise. I think that's fair to say. What about Arizona State? They have some good players for sure. Ethan Barnes, good quarterback, still there. They could make some noise potentially. Kevin Parm, really good fullback. That's some, I guess, serviceable receivers. The offensive line a little suspicious. Arkansas. Uh, wow, how many quarterbacks do you need on the roster? Can't open my water. There's Clyde Westbrook. Oh, left outside linebackers on the entire roster. Very few corners. Their entire roster is just quarterbacks. All right, Arkansas. I don't know how you only have four corners, but whatever. What are we looking at? Arkansas State. They've kind of taken a step back over the last couple seasons. And this roster is not too hot either. Not great special teams. What about Army? What do they got going on? Shabazz. I think it's going to be a pretty tough season so far. Good left tackles. This defensive line is this whole defense really. Yeah, they got some players now, but yeah, there's some struggles on the defensive front for sure. What about Auburn? An interesting team to be sure. They are very hit or miss every season. They've never really done anything massive, but they have upset some teams. Ball State. Oh boy, this is the worst overall we've seen yet. But again, team overalls are not accurate really in this game. They can be very buggy, especially with all the roster editing I did. Uh, I don't worry about that too much because as you can see, most of these players that are starting are well over 71 overall. What about Baylor? Baylor used to be good, now not so much, but they had a little bit of a resurgence last season. Not a bad roster. But Boise State, can they make a move on the conference? Guillermo Quinones is still there. Let's take a quick look at him. Of course, he's very young. Sometimes it bugs out with who it highlights. But he's still got some room to develop too at that. Potential. Boise State. I mean, they got some receivers in here too. It would be interesting to watch in the Mountain West race because this is a pretty good team. Boston College, here we go for Rio. Not great in the quarterback situation still, but getting a little bit better over in running game slowly but surely. Bring in some decent receivers. Offensive line not looking too hot. But there's some defensive talent in here. And Stoneburner is really good. Get Sam Twin and now Dilly Reed coming in. Yeah, Billy Reed is kind of buried on the depth chart. Here's Antonio Lovelady. Noah Tipton is there. And then, of course, they bring in Heriberto Waddell for punter. Bowling Green. Serviceable so far, honestly. Receivers, starting couple aren't the worst, but again, you're trying to hit 80 overall, especially in this game. 80 feels more like the average, but most juniors and will have hit that if they are any good. Buffalo, Troy Wagner, what a baller. Here to take them to the promised land. Give him a good receiver. Daniel Epps, I believe that was. They also have one CFCL player on the roster, I believe. Miles Martello. So, and he's got some room to develop, actually. Lots of room to develop. We are still very early on into this. BYU, what do we got for BYU this season? BYU had a couple good seasons and then they just completely disappeared. Good left tackle. I mean, weak in the center position, but everywhere else, this offensive line is really good. Defense looks pretty well put together as well. Some young second stringers in there. Secondary, well, at least the corner room is a little bit weak, I think. But other than that, BYU could be all right. Here's Coach Kaz and Cal. He's got Bo Arrow here for his sophomore season, up to an 80 overall with the coordinator boosts and stuff like that. Um, got Derek Reed and Cordell Lyons. Cordell Lyons not too good, but he's very limited in his speed. I think other than that, he actually makes a better player than he's given credit for. Some good receivers in here. Freshman Zippo Zap, Jackson Hollywood. Chris Dahl playing very well for them at tight end, you have to assume. There's a lot of CFCL guys on this team. Here's Paxton Law, 85 overall as a sophomore. Robbie Bishop. Got Eagle develops into 86 overall. Joe Hammer, I believe, as well. Wick Wildflower and Cameron Newton. But Cameron Newton's just been around for a while. I don't think you're going to be playing Cal. I can't do the schedules. So schedules are probably final and set as is. I cannot edit them because of this Boston College coach bug. So, I don't know. Central Michigan. I don't think there's any players of ours on Central Michigan. They could be an okay team. And Charlotte, what do they got in store? They've kind of been a gutter team, but their win total is not that bad. They got Princeton McLeod still there. He's wide receiver 1. Charlotte was an all-time low way back in season 3, season 4 maybe. No, I think it was season. They were not good, but this roster looks serviceable. Cincinnati, what do you got for us? Taj Addison's the quarterback. Of course, had some potential under Pablo for a while. Now they're in the same division as Pablo, and they'll be playing every year. Cincinnati's been relegated to the American. But a fun team for sure, and I think there are a lot of people who could have a lot of fun. This Cincinnati team, if they were to choose to go there, or a new user. Logan Masters at Clemson. I think Clemson is no longer a user team. They were not reclaimed, unfortunately. So Logan Masters out here to ball for nobody. He is the favorite for the FCL Player of the Year, I believe, actually. Brady McDaniel, the third, transfers in. Giovanni Campano is in here as well. Yeah, Clemson looks like a pretty good team. So we'll see how that goes. Coastal Carolina now under control of Coach Mango. That's me. Travis Domino, the 5-star, but he was a bust, so he's a 75 overall. Warren Mintz from the scouting map, though, not a bust. You got Kelton Boudreaux coming in, uh, freshman running back. Josh Daniel transferred in as well. Wide receivers, Calvin Teal, the freshman. You got Omarion Randall comes in as well. Had to use Calvin Teal on a red shirt. Bobby Bixby, 91 overall, but he's a blocking tight end. Now, that's something to make note of. If you see a tight end with the blocking archetype, you can see it on the right side there. Their overalls are going to be very inflated. I don't know why. but when they're good at blocking, tight ends have very high overalls. So a an offensive lineman would make a really good tight end, even though they have like 30 catching. And here's Tim Carrington. He, of course, a baller, 97 overall now. Just a little bit of room to progress in IQ, it seems. But he's been very good ever since recruited. I believe the #1 player in the class. Got Hayden Grove, the reward player, defensive tackle. Zev Richter is really good. Bonfire, the 90 overall athlete from the preseason Pick'em Challenge, turns into an 83 overall linebacker. Adriana Pelt is the leading corner, also a reward player, but not very many stars around these CFCL guys. So CFCL guys are going to have to do the work. The incoming class brought in by Mango. But this looks like it could be a turnaround season for Coastal Carolina to get them out of the 3-win gutter. Colorado, Carl Arrington transfers out of Texas. Comes to Colorado, maybe makes a statement there. He's been really fun to watch as a player. But otherwise, they've generally avoided most known players in the CFCL, CFCL players included. Arrington, not a CFCL player. He started his first game as a freshman at Texas, and he was an interesting prospect because he looked very good but also inconsistent. And now he out of Texas for maybe looking for a run with Colorado, improved draft stock. They brought in probably a really good quarterback at Texas. I can't remember who that would be off the top of my head, though. What about Colorado State? They have not been the same for a while. Hasn't really felt like they're in contention for the Mountain West in a minute. I think we need to pick up our pace here. And feel free to pause on any players that you're interested in. But we're about, well, my stream's about 30 minutes in. It does not mean that we are 30 minutes into the video, but obviously that means we're going to be here a while, and I don't feel like dealing with that. Duke has some good players, but no depth. It looks like the offensive line is actually kind of loaded. Defensive line looks all right. I mean, maybe Duke won't be as bad as normal, but not a whole lot of superstars to do work on this. What about East Carolina? They've kind of been a gutter team. They have an okay quarterback situation, running back situation as well. Wide receivers should be okay for them. Eastern Michigan. Not really a program to make a whole lot of noise at any point. You don't hear about them whatsoever. Here's what I'm talking about. It says they're 83 overall, but I don't think we have yet to see a player above 83 overall. There we go. There's a couple, but even then, the overalls are just not accurate. Uh, it's player ratings that matter, not uh, not the overall of the team. So just keep that in mind when looking at these overalls versus the players. Look at your player overalls, not your team overall. Also, why I haven't put out the team talent composite yet, just because I know it's not really worth anything. Miles far down there. Carson Corsa is just absolutely a baller, one of Florida's best players. We'll see if one day Florida can break through. They got some good players. Kerry Cotton at quarterback. I mean, we'll see if they have it in them. What about FAU? New coach William comes in. I believe it's 12. The numbers. Azael Azel going to be the starting wide receiver. Devin Priest is up to an 88. Team's not looking too bad. I think their win total is only 4.5, as it turns out. Thought it'd be closer to bowl eligibility, 6.5. But still a good team, I think. Maybe not Sunbelt contenders yet, but there's some potential brewing for them. And now we have a team making its return to the CFCL. FIU. When's the last time we saw them? Season 1. Uh, we had FIU. They won, I believe, 9 games. They went 9-4. Now they're back. Of course, that means they don't have any of our players. Their roster is completely their own. It looks serviceable. Honestly, FIU could be a decent team. What about Florida State? This is what I'm talking about. 79 overall, but their overall is definitely dragged down by the fact that they have these bugged out 12 overall players down here that were. It's just editing the players sometimes bugs and creates a new player with no face in the 12 overall. Anyway, Rashad Jones is here to take the reins from DD Leak. Billy Bowlegs, um, Walker Stride, two-way punch perhaps for Florida State in the running game. Billy Bowlegs, I believe, not as high overall here, only an 83. But I think he's a receiving back archetype, which just means that his receiving stats may not be as good as it wants them to be. Max Vellucci is a 90 overall, the leader. He's wide receiver 1. Nick Prince, wide receiver 2. Sheriff Outlaw, the freshman. And then Olakia Kahala falls all the way down to the 5 spot. Not as good, maybe as they would like. Brock Dumas is up to a 98. Keaton Sword, 89. Sammy Waters, a freshman, coming in for them at 77. Heavy Armor, David Keller, LaMichael Cameron, Jay Junk. I mean, there's just so many stars. Peter Kaufman from our players as well. Was he? Wow, he's terrible. That's interesting. Choo Choo, freshman, left end. He wears number 99. 85 overall. Pierre Carlisle, another CFCL guy. I mean, this whole team consists of CFCL players. Yeah, Quinshon Barton. Terrence Youngblood is a freshman instead of a sophomore. I guess that there were no sophomores left on the roster. Nope, that's not true because there's one right here. I don't know what happened there. Maybe just me overlooking something. But he gets an extra year of eligibility, which he'll be sitting on the bench. But Tyreek Quintana as well, freshman defensive tackle. Jamal Hickson Baugh, 83 overall. David Goggins, the freshman, 79. I mean, there's just a lot of really talented players. Ballista Batista comes in to start as a freshman. Curtis Mitchell is kind of buried over here. But he could maybe play on the outside. And then here's where they excel is the corner room. Stanley Stubbs, Dylan Dunk, Clay Shanahan locking things down. Benson Bennett as well. Not over 90 overall, but he's still really good. Riley Renegade immediately coming in as an 88 overall to start. Chance Gamble's a 91. Jeff James, 88. Walter Cubs up to an 85. And Don Henley, an 83. What about Fresno State? I know I said we'd speed things up, but Florida State we knew was going to take a while because they are just completely full of CFCL guys because Panda has been recruiting and he has not left his team. So if I was still at A&M, you can imagine it'd be a very similar story. But we're a couple years removed from that now, and there might not be as many players left. And Georgia, the first 99 overall, but we'll get to him in a second. Quarterback room, a little bit degraded. They got some running back I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Houston Finnegan is there. They lose some good receivers for sure. Lawrence Hargrove, most notably. But the offensive line is still really good. Defensive line starting off very hot as well. We knew this team would be good. They are still very much so. Cody Ramsey is 95 overall. And here's Floyd Connell, a senior, 99 overall. He's a little on the slower side for a corner at just 88 speed, but he completely locks players down otherwise. Enzo Lackey, 92 overall. What about Georgia Southern? A team that's kind of been in the mix for the Sun Belt title recently. They've been up and down, very up and down team, but they've had their shot. I believe they actually won it a couple seasons ago. There's definitely some players on here. It's not a superstar roster by any means, but I think they got some good players, I would say, for sure. I don't know. I like that team. And then we have the opposite side of things, Georgia State, who has been a Sun Belt bottom feeder, and it's looking like more of the same. Roster still is not very good. They lost their CFCL player, Daryl Mudd, TSA. Slowed down again. Gotta lock in. Gotta speed through this. Georgia Tech rocket launcher comes in immediately to play at an 83 overall. Just a baller. Pat White ends up kind of being a bust. He's a 73 overall. Leighton Kearns is 83. He's going to be pretty solid, reliable. They got time. Dante Acosta is there. Rodney Ralph came in and imported. Chevy Lockhart. Some of these players just need some development for sure, but Ruben Hampton's an 88 overall. Skip Directions automatically an 87 as a freshman. Dalton Finch, 91 overall right guard. Team Spears, 86 overall. He's going to ball out. Kip Cooley is there in the mix. Jordan Zade. Denzel Coyne will start immediately. Ben Barber there. Maximo Queen. Gato Pereira, why not? Give him 2 free safety CFCL players. David Putzi at kicker. Georgia Tech's got themselves a solid roster being put together. Trevor Roberts at running back. Uh, and a favorite. What about Houston? What do we got? Not a bad team so far, actually. Trying to contend for Conference USA, perhaps, which is not exactly full of the biggest of contenders. I think if a user went to Conference USA, especially like this Houston team, has some foundation to it already. They could make some moves. Coach Flame is here with Illinois. Bobby McKee playing at running back there. Illinois back in the Big Ten. They are Blakey. We're on the same page. We'll see what kind of moves they can make in their re-entry. They got an okay roster. Will it compete with Big Ten? Who knows? But definitely serviceable. And compared to some of these American rosters we see, I think they're much better than the average American. Indiana made a playoff run and then disappeared off the face of the earth. Leo Rogers is still there. They're not expected to do well this season. Win total of 2.5, I believe. The roster doesn't look that bad. Maybe the schedule is tough. So definitely some late struggles. Let's take a look at that again. 52 overall strong safety. Thanks. Well, that might cost Indiana a little bit, but we'll see. Maybe he won't start or whatever. Iowa, they're in a place to succeed, in my opinion. Jay Fowler's there, and then they got Cam Barry behind him, who probably will end up starting next season and just be good. I mean, I don't hate this team at all. Sergio Finney is there. I think Iowa could be a pretty solid team. Maybe if not this season, next season. 96 overall Keyshawn Middleton as a sophomore. Maybe not this season. And if not this season, then next season, because a lot of their players are very young, and those that are aging have good replacements behind them. Oh, Iowa State. Larry Leveski, is this his turning point? I don't know. Probably not. Larry Leveski, of course, one of the biggest jokes in the CFCL, as he just cannot seem to put it together when it comes time to perform. He has no receivers. I mean, Iowa State, not the worst roster otherwise, but yes, no receivers out there. Well, the offensive line has a weakness, notable weakness as well. Martin Hoops, one of the best players, not only on this team, but in the CFCL over the last few seasons. Really good. What about Jacksonville State? Welcome to the CFCL for the first time. No, you forgot. Forgot that Jacksonville State is now in the CFCL. Not time for James Madison just yet. They don't look half bad. Not bad at all. Okay, take it back. Linebackers could use some work. And the secondary. Okay, so maybe the defense will be a notable weakness of this team. Maybe. Now we have James Madison, Caspian Mendoza, 81 overall quarterback to lead it. Astro Stardust, true freshman. Here he is. He's got a lot of room to develop as well, so there's lots of potential. Astro Stardust to be the guy going forward. Dylan Canada, almost a 90 overall. Martavius Warmaker is 81 overall wide receiver, but I think he makes a decent cornerback too. So maybe he could end up in the corner rotation potentially. I don't actually know. The depth charts are a little weird on this, but you also have Billy Booz as a freshman, 80 overall. Nixon Poole down here, another CFCL player. Trey Cannon, not quite as good, but he was a development project when they acquired him, so that's no big deal. Randy Stone is in the mix as well, playing tight end. Offensive line is pretty solid. There is good pieces on here. Of course, they just made the playoff. They had a really good season. And I think they could expect to do that again. Dan Daniels, really good. I mean, they'll be losing some pieces for sure, especially if they declare for draft or otherwise. But Bronson Brunch, overperforming middle linebacker. Corner room, I don't hate that at all. Calvin Hart, solid, and Bob Kenny. Wafo Amiko comes in as a freshman. Beck Star is not that good, they say, but I don't believe that for a second. As his uh, power, yeah. I mean, I don't know why it says 71 overall. He's 77 accuracy, 82 speed. Maybe it's the awareness dragging it down, but he is definitely serviceable. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Kansas, a team that really fell off. Xavier Charbonneau, the FCL player, now a senior. This team has not made itself known in a long, long time. No left guards on the roster. Yeah. Deal breakers can make them hit the portal in this game, and there's nothing I can do about it. That was one of the things that I had commented on when I asked the poll to let you guys know. Can't really customize the portal as much. Harlan Scruggs is in here. I still can do custom transfers in a very weird workaround way. It's kind of nasty, but we'll make it work. Uh, let's see. Zach Duhan, the quarterback for Kansas State. I know Kansas State likes to chuck the ball around a little bit, so we'll see. I don't know if that's accurate to real life, but they probably have a new coach or something by now. We'll see how that unfolds. That's just something I've noticed when I was testing to make sure everything was working. Kansas State. Throw the ball. Passed by Bobby Ochoa in there, but he is no longer a starter. Passed up. Bigger, bigger things. What about Kennesaw? Welcome to the CFCL. First time here. They don't look the worst. Again, remember that overalls in general are a little higher in this game after players have gotten some time to develop. So these seniors and juniors are generally going to be pretty high overall, but the average player is much closer to an 80 than a 75. Uh, 75 is the average in NCAA 14. I would say 80 is closer to the average player college football. 25. Kent State. Oh boy, this is certainly a project team for anybody bold enough to ever take it on. I don't know who that'll be, but maybe one day. Linebacker there, but oh, actually, both outside line. Oh yeah, this is from what I remember. Completely freshman corner room, and they're all like walk-ons. They're all horrible. This not spelling good things for Kent State. I think it's going to be a tough showing. What about Kentucky? They pulled in Kaliak Maverick to start at quarterback as a freshman, but he's only a 75 overall. And he potentially went there to rot. Is that true? I don't know. Landon Mayo's a 90 overall. And Liberty, another team, um, due to the scene. They have a really good running back, really good receiver too. Oh man, Liberty posed for a decent season. They aren't independent, so they would have to probably do pretty good to get playoff bid. But I don't know what their schedule looks like yet. We'll do the schedule reveal as well, I think, right after this. Obviously, no CFCL players because they're brand new. What does Louisiana got for us? Nothing spectacular. Well, the offensive line has two really good pieces. Defensive line starting off strong. I mean, yeah, they could certainly try to do something in Conference USA. Yeah, there's very few rosters that have absolutely hated so far, but no special teams. That's for sure. Jesus. Louisiana Tech, I believe they're the favorite to win the conference. Um, I can kind of see why to start off. Trayson Cano, they're at wide receiver. I should have finished that statement. Yeah, I mean, this is actually a decent roster. I think I like this team quite a bit. What about Louisville? They are completely falling off the face of the earth season after season. They just continue to get worse and worse. It's going to be compounding on top of that. I don't know. But I mean, it's not a horrible roster, but yeah, definitely worse than your average ACC team. It looks like. What about LSU? Preseason #1 team in the country. We'll see Jack Frost is there after his star freshman season. Landis Julius is also still in the mix. You got Chad Coleman, 95 overall, one of the best currently out there. Of course, they're losing their tight end, Jonathan, who was just completely electric. Yeah, this is a decent roster, I would say. Clint Ray, 98 overall corner. I don't know about preseason #1 hype, maybe, but no, there's definitely some good players on this LSU team. Marshall, not starting off hot. But they get a little bit better. Quarterback's certainly a weakness for them. But yeah, the roster's gotten a little bit better. Oh, well, free safety. Not good. Maryland, known for upsetting Ohio State and doing nothing else every season. Cam Twin is there, 80 overall wide receiver. I'm excited to look at the UTSA roster. I read that a long time ago, Dogwater, but I do want to see how that roster can develop under your watchful eye. Because I am a UTSA fan, believer, whatever you want to say. Memphis had a really solid season last season. Went to the American Conference Championship game, but then they lost all their players because Coach Grizz is gone. The players were not protected from the portal, and as a result, they have some retainment issues, and we see that here. Jackson Weisbecker's still there, but yeah, Jermaine Mobley's also gone for the draft. They lost Azael Azell. Frankie Trevino is still there though. Like they still have some players for sure, but they just lost a whole lot. Miami. Michael Mills Johnson is the quarterback. Miami continues to feast off of transfer QBs. Vince Allen, go-to guy. 99 overall. Okay. Good offensive line here at Miami, to be sure. Eric Everson is still there just to ball out. Why not? Yeah, fullback is still a tough position. Really do well. But Miami looks like a really good team. Ben Purcell might be the best kicker currently in the CFCL. 99 kick power, 92 accuracy. What about the other Miami? Miami of Ohio, led by Riley Foxhoven, quarterback. Another 39 overall fullback. I mean, yeah, this is. We haven't seen too much of the MAC so far, but honestly, I don't hate this roster. Maybe like an 8-win team. MAC. I don't know about MAC contenders necessarily, but we'll see. Now, here is a roster to watch. Mike Hampton, 92 overall, to lead the team. And they got some players behind that are going to develop, like Ryan Leckerkerker. He's only a freshman. So we'll see. There's definitely some potential in this team. Lamont Mansfield is still there. Siaki Tioto, no idea how to say that. He's also really good. Kevin Lambert leading the receiving core, which is good. I mean, this is a really good Michigan. Then the offensive line is where things really get scary because you have 93, 92, 91 left guards, 90, 89. Colton Coolin is a third stringer on this team. 95, 95. Jesus Christ, 91 as a freshman is crazy. I mean, there are players on this team. Frank Davis is back. Right end is just as good. Defensive tackle, also 90 overall. We know Michigan has had really good linebackers recently. They continue to have good linebackers. Jordy Schwartz transfers from Michigan State to Michigan. Crazy move, but he's the leading corner there. He would put in the work. So Michigan definitely could be a really good team. They're ranked 21st after a bad season last season, but I think they're going to be able to do so much more. Michigan State, Clay Cohen is the quarterback there now. Jatavion Tuttle, a freshman who I think is going to develop and play well, but not quite yet. You got Jabo Huck, Remington Villalobos, both there. Tony Jones, the leading receiver. Connor Candelaria, 81 overall tight end. Gibson McKnight, is in here. There's CFCL guys around this roster still. Rylan Little is only a junior. Starts at linebacker for them. I mean, just really good players. Alexander Hamburger and Monte Ziegler, both there to lead the corner room. No Jordy Schwartz, but still solid room for sure. Middle Tennessee. Let's see what you got in store. Another program that's just kind of not really important to the CFCL in the big scene. They haven't made themselves a name anyway so far, but see if maybe that can change. That just means they haven't been exceptionally bad or exceptionally good. They've been probably about a 5-win team on average. Usually where most teams that don't get any recognition are. Kind of trying to fight for bowl eligibility year in, year out. Minnesota. I mean, what a team. You know, win the season 1 national title and then don't do anything else. Completely collapse in season 2 with a good roster. Collapse in season 2 and then never recover after all those players leave. But it looks like a serviceable team. Again, they're going to compete with the Big Ten. They're no Michigan, but we'll see. Mississippi State has been in a bad place recently, and doesn't look like it's going to get much better because there are still some struggles on this team. Tight end is good. Offensive line looks okay. Yeah, the offensive line is going to be solid for them. No left ends on the roster, but right end is loaded. Defensive line is good. Linebacker's not starting great, but otherwise serviceable. Corner room kind of a little on the weaker side, I would say. Safeties are all right. So I don't know. Mississippi State not really going to make a big impact this season, I would have to assume, unless. I mean, remember, some of these bad players can legitimately just pop off. They can do that. So don't get any wrong ideas. Missouri fights in the most unpredictable division in the CFCL. It's the Big 12 North, by the way. In case there were any questions on that. All that means is that they can anything, like, because you can win or lose every game in that division, and then maybe win the division, and then you're just one game away from the conference championship. Of course, the conference championship is usually against Texas A&M. It is not really easy to win. Navy has not been the same since the departure of um, Chevalier. And yeah, this is not a good roster so far. They have Callum Cruiser, who we'll get to, but again, I'm only scrolling through them to get their medals. Here's Callum Cruiser, 93 overall, senior. A big impact. Touch on the players, then they get to see their medals, and I know that's kind of important for. Are they called medals? What are they called? Abilities? Something like that. Same thing. NC State, another team that's kind of just taken a step back and disappeared. They also lose Adrian Doyle. They're really good running back, but they have a good defensive tackle. Sure. What about Nebraska? They lose really good quarterback, but are otherwise looking like a decent team to open us off here. Yeah, there are lots of good players. Nebraska not really going anywhere. I think their win total was actually shockingly low for context of the team. Um, I think it's 7.5 over the punters. But Nevada, what do you got for us? And I'm just trying to pick up the pace here, so we're not here all day. Because I have something I have to do. And if it gets, well, I might last another half hour by default. So I might just have to take an interjection. Mexico's got a good quarterback. Holy, 89 overall. Decent receiver to go with him. 99 speed. That. Oh, it's kind of like what is his name? Devon Dampier, right? Um, he was electric, but nobody around him. We'll see. Maybe that'll be a similar case here. Potentially. New Mexico State also got themselves a decent quarterback. Wow. Also new to the CFCL, the first peek at their roster. I didn't even check it when I was editing rosters because there's no reason to. They don't have any players to customize. It's just whatever they bring in, which is not the worst, but I could foresee some struggles for this team, especially with this corner room, all kind of below average in there. Welcome in, Panda. You missed Florida State by a little bit. Yeah, Clemson kind of cooked y'all. Your offense was not too good. North Carolina's got Bobby Brooks. He's a baller. I don't know what else to say. They're expected to be good this season. 14th in the country to open things up, but they don't have receivers. Uh, I actually don't know how A&M's games. I haven't checked it in. The last time we were up just by like 5. You know how it starts. Hunter Tobeck is going to be really good. He's only a sophomore. He's 90. He's going to be really good. He already is good. No corners. Wow, 4 corners in the entire room is crazy. Yeah, I don't know why we would put those out. I don't. I mean, obviously, I don't care a whole lot. Because it's basketball for first and second. It's uniforms, but they're kind of gross. I don't think they're as bad as the people generally say, but I also don't know how they usually. I think they're a little odd. They're very asymmetrical, which is really weird. But whatever. North Texas, one of the worst programs in the CFCL. Um, Maybe this is their spark that they need to get somewhere, but roster not super electric. If you remember that 80 overall is average, then they have just a few players over average, barely over average at that. I don't know. It's very weird to kind of explain how college football 25 works in translation, but 75 overall is no longer the average player. They are not going to be good enough to be serviceable against some of these upper level players. You put them on the field, you have to expect them to kind of get cooked, especially against higher overall players. Versus in NCAA 14, they could hold their own. I don't think that's true. Like, look how deep 75 overall is on the step chart. Northwestern preseason number 3. Look, I'm really interested in the A&M basketball score real quick. Wow, the game's not even close to over. So they're still got the hype, but I don't know why. They don't have a running game. Jackson Hensley is still there. Luke Tower is still there. He's huge, but he's not the best receiver. Fernando Ferdinand is in there. And I just don't see this team being super good because it was mostly a JT Cordova show last season. And this season, we're going to see that really exposed, I think, with most of the good players gone, um, either via the portal or via graduation in the NFL draft. What about Notre Dame? Are they going to be able to make something happen in the independents? They got a decent quarterback room in there. Todd Mayhew. You guys know that I'm a big Todd Mayhew believer. Was at USF for a while, left to rot and die. Good offensive line for sure. Defensive line not starting hot, but it improves from there. Corner room, definitely solid. Yeah, Notre Dame's probably going to be a pretty solid team. No major comments. Oh, Ohio. No quarterback, but a good running back. I wonder if that's enough. I haven't really looked into teams that just pound the rock. I'm interested to see how that works. Except for me, but I'm a user. Not in the CFCL context. I'm just saying when I play college football 25, I don't pass it. I just run the ball over and over again. Um, I tried passing the ball a little bit more in that short-lived Coastal Dynasty, but I just got so caught up in working on the CFCL that I stopped working on that. What about Ohio State? Brandon Payne and John Griffin are both here, but Brandon Payne actually passed up John Griffin in the depth chart. Jabouze Allen, there he is. He was electric as a freshman. Now he's back. Obviously, we know Ohio State is going to have a good roster. Number 2 in the country. Um, and I think for good reason. They knocked LSU, whose preseason is number 1, out of the playoff. It's not as dominant of a roster as I might expect, honestly. Legend McNally is really, uh, no doubt about that. Good punter, for whatever that's worth. Honestly, I don't know Ohio State's going to be a top contender. The roster doesn't strike me as that, but of course I could easily be wrong. Oklahoma had their best season in the CFCL last season. Just missed out on the playoff. Finished with 11 wins, I believe. Oh, wow. Linebackers in a very bad spot, though. That really cost them. That could really, really hurt this team. That alone. Just the fact they have no linebackers. Quite literally. True freshman starting for Oklahoma State at quarterback is always interesting. Means that a lot of time to develop, potentially. I was hoping this might be Jim Knowles. I thought that would be funny, but no. It is not. Look at Jim Knowles. What a crazy move. I still can't believe Penn State managed to uh, hire. Wait. No, I have not applied them. Um, Mostly because I'm an idiot, but partially because I forgot. And that I'm sure I can make up some other excuse, but it's mostly those two. Old Dominion. We'll get to him. Ahmad Thorne, the quarterback. Quincy Wexler. What a baller he is indeed. Um, he's pretty much already capped all of his skill caps, unfortunately, it looks like. Um, but Jesus Christ, he's already so good. He's going to be just a complete baller. We'll see. I don't imagine in this game he'll hit the portal. I don't know. Not as brutal our portal was with top players at bad schools. But if he does, you know he is going to be a huge commodity. Oh, that's true. Yeah, certainly could do that. This team is not the worst. Honestly, they have a really good running back. Maybe they make something happen. I don't know. The Sun Belt gets tougher and tougher, but we'll see. Ole Miss wins the national title. They start as the preseason number 5 team. Uh, they lose some really good players, including Robert Carey, but Wendell Bowen, I think it's Wendell Bowen, comes in um, as a senior. He was who started the Ole Miss turnaround, so I'm not too worried. Childs is going to be a really good running back. The receiver room is a little bit lackluster, so we'll watch out for that. Um, Offensive line looks all right. Better than all right. I don't know why I said all right. Well, okay, there's some defense. So far serviceable. Well, okay, defensive line maybe just a little below average, but Ozzie Missile is an absolute beast. Josh Culp is always performing really well. Corner room is kind of tough, actually. This is a tough situation. But Spike Hammersmith is there. Ferris McBride, 2 really good safeties. Ari Medina's kind of buried on the depth chart. Maybe some defensive issues for Ole Miss. I don't know. Charles Coates, 86 overall. Dom DeCar- Dom De Carvalho. Wow, that's a fun name. A freshman just behind, actually tied. I don't know which of these guys is going to start. I don't know if there's a way to tell. Oregon, I mean, preseason number 15, but I know they're going to finish higher than that. This team is set up for success. You can just feel it. Oregon is got to break through eventually. They've gotten to the playoffs, win Pac-12. And the defensive line is just an absolute monster. It's a nightmare. Matt Bomber is going to eat you alive. Uh, Linebackers, okay, this is much better on the middle and the left or the right side and the left side. Really good. Corner room is going to be good. Murphy Dupree is still there. He is really good. So Oregon is set up for major success. Cannot say the same about Oregon State. This team has continued just to fall into nothingness after a really good start in the CFCL. Once Pac-12 contenders, but not anymore. That's for sure. I mean, yeah, this roster is really bad. I mean, considering 80 overall is the average, he just oh Jesus Christ. They have 2 good punters though. Yeah, this is a tough situation. Oregon State's gonna struggle. Yeah, that's fine. It's not super interesting to watch anyway, so I don't blame you. Kenneth Kittles, 96 overall as a senior. Watch out for him. Greg Kiernan, a freshman behind him. Terrible name, but happens, I guess. Martin Legacy, 89 overall. Wide receiver room is definitely serviceable. Keep using that word, serviceable. Penn State definitely set up for a good season. Kenny Kittles has got to be able to ball out, but I think he definitely can. Corner room looks good. Safeties, good. Kicker, not great, admittedly. But there's some really good teams, or really good players on this team. What about Pitt? Still hasn't really figured out the quarterback situation. Wide receivers, he's got some receivers for him. Slow down again. Thomas Yates. No left guards on the roster. What? That's okay. They'll probably just start a right guard there. This team is certainly still good. there are some good players and some freshmen in there as well. Corner room not great. Again, it's not bad, but yeah, you're hovering around average. Whatever. What about Purdue? Purdue, a team that definitely has taken a step back in the CFCL as time has gone on. East and South pause in there. The offensive line, not great. Not great at all. But the defense actually, low-key got some ballers. We'll see if Purdue can maybe make something happen in the future. This season, I don't know. I don't see enough talent in there. Offensive line is really bad. Receivers at Rice here, whatever. Offensive line is fine. I don't hate this Rice team, actually. The more I look at it, yeah, why not? Let them win some games, actually. Rutgers, back to the Big Ten you go. For now, I actually really like how they fit in the American, but we'll see. Maybe there'll be some shifting around. Somebody else goes to the Big Ten, takes their spot. They go back to the American. The American adds another team. Who knows? But right now, this team actually looks pretty good. Um, pretty good. Sam Houston, another team, maybe the CFCL. Got a decent quarterback in there. Say decent, but really, that's pretty good. 85 overall, definitely. Ooh, linebacker struggles for sure. I think the defense is not going to be great, but yeah, Sam Houston's a fine team. I don't think they're really going to do much, but not uh, not something I can guarantee. San Diego State has not been the same in a little bit as well. Another team disappeared. Oh, headquarters. San Jose State. Um, in one of the tests, they went undefeated. I don't know that that's necessarily true. That's how good they are, but watch out as a result, I guess. Let that one start us at the bottom. Um, yeah, I mean, the roster's fine. I think they could contend for the Mountain West. Based on what we've seen from the other Mountain West teams so far, SMU's got themselves a quarterback and running back. Receivers are fine. Offensive line and tight ends. Well, the offensive line is definitely better than just the left tackle position. South Alabama's got a new coach, Big Mac X. Used to contend for the Sun Belt, if I'm correct. They have since fallen to more of a bowl team, but there's some potential in this roster. I don't hate it at all. South Carolina's got some receivers. Tight end. Offensive line will certainly work. Defensive line is, well, there's no depth at defensive tackle position. That's for sure. Corners or entire secondary is well put together. Southern Miss. team that goes 9-3, and then the season after that goes 3-9. They started 5-0. I believe we're in the top 25. Then lost 7 straight and missed a bowl game. Stanford, a team that's underperforming with talent recently. They lose the talent um, in their quarterback and running back. They had 2 really good players. Now they're without those. So how bad do they do without them? No idea. The team is very young, it looks like. Well, okay, I take it back. As soon as I say things like that, I just immediately prove it wrong. But give it a couple seasons. Maybe Stanford's in a good place. Right now, I don't know that they're really about Pac-12 contention. TCU, Brian Genus, 93 overall. That is very interesting. TCU has never quite broken through the ceiling that they need to, but I don't know, this might be the season. Wow, I really like what I'm seeing. Okay, well, there was one position, not super great, but yeah, I like this TCU squad. I do. Um, Temple, Matt Reyes guided Clemson to the playoff, and then they replaced him. So he transferred out. Uh, Here to guide this team, Michael Jackson is wide receiver 2. You got Eli Goals. And by the way, his name, because you read it like this, is Eagles. Thought that was funny. The only reason that's his name, definitely some solid players in here. No super lackluster. Okay, well, I see again. 76 overall is still fine. You know, no problems with that. Tennessee, I mean, Quincy Beaver comes in to start over both of these guys. Just kind of showed up, appeared out of magical thin air. But by rule, he's allowed to stay. JJ Zutter is there. Not going to start for a while. Tennessee, another just team that we knew is going to have a good roster, and they do. And they will be a scary team to play. Preseason number 8. They've kind of been disappointing a lot recently, as most of us are very familiar with. Um, but they did just make the playoff, so they'll be fine. What about Texas? Texas got a 99 overall. I just saw. Sergio Mercado is the quarterback. Um, Welcome in Cryo. Of course, Boston College, a little bit ago, for sure. We've definitely passed them. Trevon Trunk is now a Longhorn. Quinn Forrester's all the way down here. And then it's Michael Smith, the senior, is a 99 overall tight end, and freshman Colton Cope, 91. A good team, it looks like. Generally, like what I'm seeing. Okay, see, again, I just can't say anything positive because then you hit a position not quite as good. Maximus Jernigan. Yeah, I think Texas is definitely better than they were last season. What about the Aggies of Texas A&M? Jason Hayden, 94 overall. Not really in the Heisman race or anything like that for some reason, but maybe it's just playbook type thing. They don't expect a whole bunch of numbers to come out of him. But the Aggies definitely set up to have a good season, uh, as they always seem to be. Although defensive line could be better. Linebackers are good. Damani Rock is 98 overall. DeAndre Prince 92 up there. Yeah, I mean Texas A&M obviously a good team, and probably the favorite to win the conference. Actually, I believe that's what the number says, is they are the favorite. Odds have been put out as of about 1 a.m., 2 a.m., something like that. Oh, Texas State. They they're not really important to the CFCL after season one. Unfortunate. It was fun to watch their season one run, and then they disappeared. Maybe maybe they'll be back, but I don't know. There's better teams in the Conference USA. It definitely is. Mike Bumble is starting for Texas Tech. He got injured last season in his first season starting. Good wide receiver room, actually. Wow. 88 overall. Hey, Farmer is still there. Certainly uh serviceable roster. There's that word again. Serviceable. I didn't really like what I'm seeing. And there's probably, if Pizza maintains this squad, there's probably some potential. Toledo. Again, just a team that never really made its name known in the CFCL. But I think they're actually pretty high up in the MAC odds. So we'll see. I scroll to my second punter there. I've missed a couple of them so far. Troy. Definitely a solid start to their roster with 286 overall quarterbacks. Receiving room, not elite, to put it lightly. Could they be back in Sunbelt contention? Roster definitely looks pretty good. Oh, wow. Linebackers are going to be tough. Linebacker room is not good. Safeties, better. I don't know. Troy's in an interesting spot. Tulane. What do they got for us? Another team really uh, under the radar because they haven't been any good. Tulsa has been good. They got themselves a good quarterback. This team is solid, I would say. Tulsa's just going to continue doing what they do. They look towards top of the American. Now we flip things around and we go to UAB. I do not think UAB is going to be a Conference USA contender. Honestly, the roster not that bad. The offensive line got some people, but they don't really have a good quarterback. I don't know how that'll play out. Otherwise, the roster actually decent. So maybe they can put it together. UCF brings in Adam Roden. Solid quarterback. That'd be a lot of fun. I have to imagine he's really fast. Excited to see what Florida Man can do with UCF at the American Conference. Of course, they went 13-0 season 5. Last season, not nearly that good. Definitely some safety issues, but overall, not the worst team I've ever seen. UCLA, preseason hype. They're ranked in the top 25. That for good reason. They have some two good running backs, wide receivers. Marcus Myrick is very good. Oh, the offensive line has some issues. Yeah, definitely some issues. Yeah, overall, not the worst team I've ever seen. I think there's definitely some potential. Maybe the hype is deserved. I don't hate what I see. Not hate it at all. Uh, Sorry. Moving on to UConn, another team back in the CFCL, missing since season 1, and they got a really hot start with a really good quarterback. But the receivers are terrible, so he's got nobody to throw to except for maybe his tight end. 90 overall. I don't know why it starts me at the middle or at the bottom. There. What is that? Yeah, I don't hate the team, but I don't think they're going to be the best. Uh, I think it's now or never for them, though. I won't lie. Oh boy, Jesse Queen is the quarterback at ULM now, former CFCL 1 star. Got some receivers to throw to, I suppose, but he is not very good. I won't lie. UMass, welcome in to the CFCL. You got a head coach, Moss. He's destroyed every program he's ever been at. We'll see if this is another victim in his path of carnage, chaos, destruction, whatever. Roster doesn't look unusable. Not great, but certainly fine. Kicker and punter are not good. UNLV brings in Chad Edwards. Wow. This is what we like to see. 91 overall. Transfers out of Arizona. I thought he would go somewhere bigger. Uh, no, he ends up at UNLV. He's got Jimmy Rosario to throw to, though. Dane Humblebee at tight end. And lots of depth at the corner position. They're just not elite anywhere, um, unfortunately. Jabari Layton Jr. here to start for USC as a senior. They got really good receivers and a good tight end. USC is definitely going to have a dangerous offense. Quarterback is not elite, but he like 80 is the average, so he's above average. That's all they need. Wow, they got some good players all around. Actually, USC is going to be pretty good, or they should be pretty. USF, they are a team that has kind of done nothing but fall apart. So I like how the roster looks to open things up. The best the roster has looked in a long time. Utah, oh boy, we got no quarterback, no running back. receiver in there. But yeah, this team is not set up for a whole bunch of success. And your offensive line can be good, but they won't win you games. A bad offensive line can lose you games, but a good one can't win you games. Not in this, at least. I, IRL maybe. I'm not a ball nowhere to that level to really put a really good offensive line. Like if we gave Kenny Pickett the best offensive line, he would be able to win the Super Bowl. I'm not talking about the best offensive line in the NFL. I'm talking like the best of all time. Like you put all of the offensive line superstars. Jesus Christ, Utah State. They have linebacker issues. UTEP. They have a 98 overall. Good linebacker. Like their only playmaker though. Most of the talents on the offensive line. There is Lambo. It's the name of that. That's fun. UTSA, here it is. Dogwater's probably long gone, but J.J. Ryan, the quarterback, comes in to play for them. Denim Jeans is an 84 overall. Receiver room looks pretty good. I mean, Daryl Mudd is slow. David Dukes is a baller. Defensive tackles need some work. Defense in general probably could use some touch-ups. Corner room is actually fine. Safeties, oh, strong safety might need to edit that depth chart a little bit. Vanderbilt, 87 overall quarterback. They got that set up. Good receiver with him. Maybe a connection there. Maybe Vanderbilt could surprise some people, get an upset or two, make a bowl game. Maybe. Defense, not that bad. Virginia. Ugh. Been a team that has been historically horrible. Maybe they can get something right with a new roster, found talents. I don't think they're going to be contending for the ACC anytime soon. Virginia Tech. Now, this is a team that has been contending for the ACC. I don't think they'll do it this season. They honestly are not nearly as good. They've taken a huge step back. They still have some good pieces in there, but oh wow, left end is terrible. They're a very thin team, it feels like. Some positions just aren't good at all. Wake Forest used to be one of the scariest teams in the ACC. Now, not so much. Washington, O'Callahan. Look at him. There he is to lead the charge, I guess, as a true freshman. Washington's got a good roster, I will say. I mean, yeah, definitely do not hate this at all. Washington State, can they compete? They've actually got the. Oh, well, yeah, Bo Callahan, I'm always thinking he's good because he's a freshman. He's really not going to be elite, but has a lot of time to develop. So maybe he'll cause some issues. I don't know how big he'll ball out. But we shall see. West Virginia. Very interesting team every single season. Running back, good receivers. Don't hate this roster either. Ooh, but they have no corners. I don't know how that keeps happening. Teams with like 4 corners on the roster. What are we doing? Western Kentucky, they are long past their prime. Yeah, I don't know that why West Virginia is ranked after looking at their roster, but they look fine. Um, doesn't mean that they're going to do good, but the roster looks. Of course, coaches and playbooks and all kinds of stuff like that are important too. Western Michigan, what do you got for me? Good fullback. That's really important. Yeah, nothing really stands out about this team. I don't think Western Michigan is going to be competing for the MAC. I think that era is over. That team does not really impress me. Wisconsin, though, Wisconsin has had some good players and they keep getting better. I think Wisconsin is very much set up for success, especially as they go through this roster. Good receivers. Offensive line is good. Very good. Defensive line, solid. Defensive tackles a little bit weak. Linebackers could use some work, maybe. Corners, fine. Safeties are fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like this team to perhaps compete with Nebraska in the division. Wyoming got some CFCL players in this last go around. They recruited a couple of them. See if they can make an impact for this Wyoming squad. I think they got 2 or 3 of them. Like Castor, but he's not even starting. And that's it. So yeah, your best players in the country: Jabari Davis, Floyd Connell, Michael Smith are your 99 overalls. And quite a few in 98s. Clint Ray, Brock Dumas, Stanley Stubbs, Spike Hammersmith, Jason Riddle, Amani Rock, Juan Lambo, Austin Johnson, and then we get 97s, 90s. So we'll see. Uh, how many 99 speeds? 3 as well. Miami corner, Alabama corner, TCU corner. Those are your only 3. Do we have any 99 strengths? That would be kind of... Oh, we do. 3. Wow, what do you know? The rule of threes, it looks like. Nobody with 99 acceleration. Quite a few with 99. Whatever. This is not relevant. I should end my recording.